I mean, the uglier you are, the better you're going to be. There's got to be like some sort of...
Typically, there's a bit of a graph there.
That's why he's a scratch golfer, Griff. Man of the year, man of the year, man of the year. Welcome to the #1 friendship podcast in the country. I'm Matt Ritter.
I'm Aaron Karo.
We're sitting next to each other.
I don't like it.
It's too close.
Way too close.
It's too close for comfort.
You already were a close talker.
I now I'm on top of you. I'm like in your mouth. We should kiss. Guys, it's great to be here with you guys. I heard a great quote from a buddy recently. I was talking about the pod and he goes, I don't know how any guy makes friends if they don't play golf or gamble.
I don't play golf or gamble.
Well, there goes that theory.
Yeah, okay.
But I think he did have a point, right? Like, I just was thinking about it. Like, a lot of our friends who are doing well with their friend groups who are like, don't, necessarily need all of our advice or like, yeah, I'm good. A lot of them, I'd say less gambling, but a lot of them do have good golf crews.
That also means you're like outside, you're walking at least a little bit.
It's a social drinking.
Drinking.
Yeah, I don't know that many people. It was weird that he said golf or gambling because I really don't know that many guys who are like, yeah, I've got a great gambling crew.
Yeah,
like,
is gambling a social thing?
Poker. Like, I think he meant like
okay.
poker night. We forget there are like adult men who have poker nights. We should do an episode about that. Should we get like one of those Hollywood casino guys? Not Hollywood casino.
like
World Series of Poker.
What's it called? Finding Molly?
Yeah,
What was that Jessica Chastain
show? Molly's Game.
Molly's Game. Yeah.
Yeah, we should get somebody who's like a, like one of those thrice divorced, World Series of Poker guys on to talk about like how many friends. I bet you none of them have actual friends.
Or we should get someone who knows about golf.
We could do that, or maybe we did do it. Guys, we have our first guest in studio. He's a good friend of mine. We met in
acquaintance of
his, friend of mine, which puts him at like friend-quaintance in sum total on average. I met him early on in our comedy days, and I'd say, his comedy is about as good as his golf, which is he's pretty mediocre at both. But he has an incredible podcast and just kind of brand. You guys are probably familiar. Probably most of our listeners know these guys, the country club adjacent guys. I would say he's the funniest one in the crew. Welcome, Griff Pippin.
Griff.
Thank you. That was quite an introduction. I'll take it.
We can't stress enough. This is our first ever in-studio guest, ever.
Ever?
Shouldn't have been you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should not have been me.
Remember we said we were going to
happened?
get Affleck and Damon on our
We
50th?
did. Well, you know what? We're doing this to work out the kinks.
Yeah.
So this is like, if this doesn't go well, we just dump the whole episode.
I'm your lab rat.
Yeah, you're a crash test dummy, we like to say.
Yeah.
I was thinking about how like formative comedy years, like we ran a really good comedy show, but also a terrible comedy. Like how a show can be good and terrible.
That's a good description. Really good, but terrible. Right? It was a bar show, and you just didn't know what you were going to get that week. We would show up. Nobody was really going to be there unless we went around the bar with flyers going, hey, I know you're here to like enjoy your birthday, but do you want to come to this free show in the back? Every week we would just bother and pester people at that bar and then fill the room up. And sometimes it was packed.
Electric. We did. We bombarded, we harassed, we harangued. You know what I would describe Cases is like if an Irish pub had a jail. That was our comedy room.
Yes.
Right?
There was a comedy jail in the back, and you guys are prisoners of a lot of mediocre comedy. Enjoy a 3-hour show of open micers because they need this way more than you need that beer.
You know what my memory of that was? Because we talk about on the pod a lot, supporting your friends, especially stand up, like go to their shows. That you would say, hey, I'm doing a show, Keys. I go, No. I'm not coming. I'm not performing.
Why did we want
You're the co-host of Country Club Adjacent. Yeah. You just tell us, because actually, I'm going to be honest, I don't really know what it is, because I don't play golf, and that's going to come up a lot.
It's good not to research your guests.
Okay.
So that's how you want to do it.
I said, trust me, these guys are something.
Yeah, we're something. What I love about your podcast, connecting friendships in the community and the value of people going, that's something that's I need to value, is friendships. And in the golf world, something I've seen that reminds me of Man of the Year and the tradition you guys have is you have the boys' golf trip. It's a classic golf tradition. And you have these boys' trips that guys, a group of really good friends from a very young age, have kept alive every year for decades. I know so many groups of golfers that have been having their boys' trip for 30, 40 years. And it keeps that friendship alive. And these are often friendships that's the only time they see each other. And it's just a really special bond that golf's the tool that keeps those friendships alive. And it's like, like you said, like, how do you make friends if you don't golf? It's really incredible the friendships you make on the golf course, whether it's the boys trip or you show up as a single and you don't know anyone and you just start golfing with 3 random golfers and then you make 3 new friends. So it's such a powerful tool.
What about if you have a buddy in your group who doesn't golf? Like, what if you have a Karo in your group? He's just out.
No, like for instance, if there's a boys' golf trip and there's you and you're like, I don't golf, so I just can't go to that trip. Well, I would say come out to the trip. Or are you just allergic to golfing?
No, I'll drink. I like to drink.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's one way to do it. You're like, I'll just ride in the cart and drink all day.
Yeah.
I will gamble on your gambling.
Wait, so I wanted to back up. For those of our listeners who don't know about Country Club Adjacent, give us like the 30-second bio of who you guys are and like, how did you even come to be? I know they're like fellow comics.
All 4 of us were stand-up comedians out here in LA, grinding for a long time, spinning our wheels. COVID hits, you can't perform. You can't do anything. None of us can try to live our dream. So Jake started making some weird golf content. And by weird, I mean jumping into lakes every day. And basically some company was like, hey, we want you to make some golf content and go in an RV and travel from California to Colorado. And he's like, okay, I need to fill it with some comics. He calls me first. We don't know each other that well. And then he calls me. I'm like, I got nothing going on in COVID. Calls 2 other guys, Mark, and Mark didn't pick up first 10 phone calls because he thought it was a bill collector and finally answered. So we're all like, hey, we can't perform. Let's go on this RV trip. We don't even really know each other. Mark and I had met doing a stand-up show in a furniture store 2 years before.
Classic comedy origins.
That was it. We go on this RV trip to start making content, immediate chemistry. We're all comics. We're all seasoned. We all know how to like work with each other. And we start making content and we're like, dude, we're like, we got a good chemistry. You know what? When this is over, no expectations. Let's go back to LA and record a few podcasts. Immediate chemistry there as well. And we're like, let's open up an Instagram page and see how that goes. And then we shortly, like a month into this, we're on a tee box and I was getting ready to hit a shot and Mark was there and there's 20 people in the tee box. And Mark looks at me and goes, dude, you look like you slept at your aunt's house last night. And I couldn't block it out. And I had to back off my shot. I'm like, what does that mean? Everyone's dying laughing. And we filmed it and posted it. Did really well. Like, hey, why don't we, we're comics. Why don't we just like pretty much bust balls on the tee box, try to get people to back off their shot from laughing. And we just did like a 30-day challenge called the Back Off Challenge. And then that just blew up and turned into us doing it to Trump, to Jamie Foxx, Caitlyn Jenner, Charles Barkley, a bunch of professional golfers, Scottie Pippin, and it just kind of spiraled into that. And it's like, oh, wow, this is just overnight. Now I'm making a living as a comedian, not having to deliver food off Grubhub. So I'm very grateful to be here.
I love the Back Off Challenge. By the way, every guy that I know knows you guys from that. Like, if anytime anybody's talking about golf, I'm like, oh, do you know the Country Club Jason guys are like, oh, I love that Back Off Challenge.
Yeah. I think we got Donnie coming up in a few weeks for round 3.
I mean,
Donnie Trump?
Yeah.
How do you get there?
So I work with the Live Tour and we basically get paid to sit in a tee box and roast everyone coming through the Pro-Am. So it's all the players on the tour and the Pro-Am guests. And we did Trump. Remember the first time he was coming through, Secret Service is 2-3 holes ahead of him. And they're coming up with their AR-15s and they're like, who are you guys? And we're sitting on the tee box like, oh, we're just comedians and we're going to roast everyone coming through, including Donald. And they're like, no, you're not. You have to get out this tee box. So like, no, we're going to roast him. And Jake is very chirpy and hates authority. So he's like, he doesn't care who it is. He's going to argue with you and he's not going to let it go. And so we're just like, no, we're supposed to be here. And they're like, no, you're not. So then another Secret Service guy comes up. We need your credentials and all this. So we had to go through like arguing with 4 different stages of Secret Service and them going, you're not allowed to be here. And then, are you with media? You know, are you CNN? Who are you? We're like, we are here to shit on him, but we're not with media. We're just idiots. This is thing we do. And then finally, one of the Secret Service guys goes, oh, I know you guys. Big fan. Yeah, they're fine. They're not here to do anything bad. They're not a threat to national security. Let them on the tee box. Like, thank you, my man. So we got on the tee box. Donald comes up, and it's a tricky, comedic tightrope to walk because in the golf world is very right-leaning. So you're talking about Donnie here. You say something shitting on Donnie, you're gonna piss off the golf world and say, I hate these guys. But if you say something that's too friendly, then a lot of left-wing people are like, oh, you must be Trump guys. So we're like, nope, we're not on any sides here. We're just to roast him like anyone else. So I said, oh, your swing looks a little broken. Was it made in China? And I knew that would get under his skin. So, yeah, we went after him and they just chunked it in the water. You know, and I was like, oh, darn, a little short, kind of like your second term. And, you know, because just to get the opportunity to sit with that man and roast him in front of him to his face on his course, nobody, as far as I'm concerned, has had to do it. And the second time we got to do it, he was getting ready to hit, and then Mark was like, don't worry, I got my house rated too. Like,
dude, if you think about it, so there were no correspondence dinners during his term. So nobody's roasted him.
Nobody. So for us to do it is like, we're the only guys as far as I know. And to do it to his face on a tee box is like, so now the second time we did it, like Secret Service was coming. Oh, I know these boys, they're fine. Yeah, let them do their thing. So it's like, it's just weird.
So did you always find that you had a good crew on the golf course? Obviously, this podcast is about how to make friends, how to maintain friendships. You know, you were talking about how golf is like kind of a glue for a lot of groups. Was it a glue for your group, or did you actually discover it through country club adjacent, like how big of a bond it was, or did you kind of always, you know, have that or feel that?
I think I always knew from a kid, you know, you had your cliques at the local golf course and your crews that you found there and friends for life that you created there and then recreated a new crew, country club adjacent.
Do you have any like tips / hacks if you show up as a single and you join a foursome of like how to be a good single, how to, you know, become friends, that kind of thing?
Yeah. And there's like a lot of videos on this. You know, if you're single, don't know anyone, you know, the basic etiquette, not walking at people's line or talking during the backswing, but yeah, just don't be annoying, you know, because some singles love to just talk too much. Fill your group out. And if these guys don't feel like talking, then it's going to be more of a quiet round, but you might end up finding the groomsman to your wedding on that day.
Even on a quiet day.
I've heard stories of a guy going out as a single and meeting some random guys, cracking open a beer, and one of the guys in that group ended up being a groomsman in his wedding.
So I think the lesson though there is that like, don't get too nervous and try to like talk your way into the friendship right away.
Yeah, you're just going there to play golf. They're there to play golf. There's no expectations. And usually you ease into it. First couple holes are usually pretty quiet when you're a single. And then you start to, yeah, good shot. Or thanks, good shot. And it's like, like, where are you from? And then it just, hole 2, 3, where are you from? I'm from Ohio. And then, oh, cool, what do you do for work? And then you start chatting, and then you eventually find something like, oh, we have common ground here. And then if you start to click with each other's energy, and by the end of, by 9 holes, you're like, yeah, this guy's my buddy. After 18 holes, like, I got to get your number. We got to go out and play again. And now you got a buddy that you hit up and go out and play with.
What do you think about cracking a joke in the round if you're a single?
Absolutely. I've played as a single, and like that's absolutely because for me, that's who I am. So I'm like, I'm going to crack a joke, and you're either going to like it or you're not. And if you're like, what? And you're quiet about it and you didn't laugh, I'm like, cool, you're not my people. But if I crack a joke and you crack up, then you're like, cool, I'm going to make a friend.
So Aaron doesn't golf. I golf very poorly. I guess my
You really have a thing about your golf. You really have like a...
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people who are like, I can break 100 occasionally. I feel nervous going out as a single because what if I get people that are probably not scratch golfers, but actually I think I'm less worried about like the scratch golfers as I am like the guys who are in their 80s that I'm like not on their level and I like might slow them down.
So many amateur golfers are terrified of that. And it's like they understand. They were there at one point. and you got to start somewhere. And even for me, sometimes I get paired with somebody who's new to golf and they're very slow. If you're worried about that, as a PSA, after X amount of shots, if you're like 2-3 over and you're going to get a triple, just pick up your ball. That's the most important thing you can do is pick up your ball and just, you're out of the hole. So don't keep whacking away and making us watch this and wasting our time. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just pick up your ball at some point. It's okay.
I'll tell you why I'm guilty of that. Because sometimes I feel that if I go the other way, then I'm getting nothing out of the round. If I'm just like constantly picking up and constantly rushing, then I don't feel like I'm getting any better or whatever, but maybe during the round is not the place to try to get better.
Well, there it is, but you need to really practice and play with intention. But again, you know, you're going out there, you want to have fun and make friends and stuff like that. And honestly, like where I've seen people make more friendships on the golf courses, like they're not focused on their game. They're just going out there to have a good time. And you meet 3 other random guys and you're just having a good time and you don't even care about your score.
I like that. I like the idea of you're just going out there to have a good time, because that's a lot of what our pod is about.
You're not really going out there to try to make a friend. You're just enjoying yourself. You're showing your best self. And then that's how you get other people's attention.
But I guess that's where my insecurity comes from. Like, I don't feel like I'm my best self on the golf course. I feel like I'm some scrub loser.
I mean, if you look at yourself that way, then you present yourself that way.
Yeah.
But you enjoy it.
I do. But then, I've had a few situations. Like I went out once with like a girl I was dating. I went out with her dad, who was a doctor, and 3 doctor dudes. And they just like dressed me down right off the bat.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I golf back home with a bunch of neurosurgeons and cardiologists. And they're an interesting bunch, but once you get to know them, they might seem intimidating because, you know, they all, like 2 of them graduated top of their class at Harvard and they're neurosurgeons. They're brilliant guys.
Matt doesn't respect Harvard, so that means nothing to
us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they seem intimidating, but once you get to know them, like we're all just busting each other's balls.
I feel like what they did to me in that round is like the equivalent of child abuse. Like it scarred me for life on the course.
You felt an inferiority
emasculated,
complex.
Yeah, they gave me the golf clap. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah. Golf doctors. Yeah, they're like every country club has them. The golf doctors, and some of them have the God complex.
Yeah,
and there's maybe at least one of the guys in the group. 1 out of 3 doctors had a God complex, and they need to be, you need to bust their balls when they 3-putt. And I'm like, man, that's a shame you went to medical school. I thought doctors were supposed to have steady hands. You got to put them in their place a little. Good, you save people's lives. Okay, I sit on tee boxes. And I shit on people and film it, okay? I'm better than you know.
Should we take a listener question?
Yeah.
Asking for a friend.
Guys, this is Asking for a Friend. If you have a friendship question or ethical dilemma, send it to us on Instagram at Man of the Year Podcast, and we will answer it on the show.
Hey guys, love the pod. Have a golf-related question. So I thought you'd be perfect to answer this. Me and my buddies have been playing golf once a year, annual tradition, for almost a decade. The problem is one of our friends has a temper. And at first, when we were like in our early 20s, it was fine, but it seems to have gotten progressively worse with things in his life maybe not being as great as everybody else's. He's getting to the point where it's no longer enjoyable, but we're also all competitive. So there's a part of us that's like, all right, it's just part of the competition, but what do we do about this guy who's snapping clubs and kind of losing his shit and kind of ruining the whole thing for us?
Huh. What did that say? That is that listener? Is that Matt Ritter?
No, I don't go on golf trips.
Matt Ritter?
I don't do
it. Well, every golf group knows and has that guy. We all know that guy, and sometimes it's fucking fun to watch. It's like the same part of our brain that likes reality TV shows. We're like, yeah, dude. Just the other day, Jake was having a meltdown and he started to throw it and he was holding it and I go, let it go, throw it, dude. And everyone's like, no, don't do that. I was like, throw it, dude. Throw it. Yeah, no, I mean, Mark snaps clubs. He smacked 3 clubs in one hole.
Over the knee?
2 over the knee and 1 on the ground. And I was just like, this is fucking awesome. I'm loving this, but I shouldn't. This is not good. I don't condone that behavior. He needs to sit down. His buddies needs to sit down and go, look, you're taking this way too seriously. Okay. And one of the best things two things to this guy to at least help him. Is one of the best quotes I've ever heard. Somebody told me when I was getting mad on the golf course. They go, "Hey, do you do this for a living? Are you on the PGA Tour? Oh, you're not? So then it doesn't matter. So stop getting mad because none of this matters." And I'm like, true. Second off, I don't shut up about it, and I never will, is Stoicism. Everyone should be reading Stoic books. Go read Ryan Holiday books. Stoicism's so powerful on the golf course and in any area of your life. Like, someone I was dating was like struggling with all these things, and like I would like try to help her over the phone. She's like, "Holy shit, that's everything you said as my therapist." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not saying you shouldn't go to therapy. It's fantastic, but I'm saying like you can almost solve all your problems through reading Stoic books." And Stoicism, teaches you like there's nothing you do about what already happened in the past. There's no point getting emotional about it.
This whole book's about that? Jeez.
Yeah. You hit a ball in the water? Can you change that? No. There's nothing you can do about that. You've already hit it in the water. It's over. Move on. But getting mad, I think there's an ancient Confucian quote, something along the lines of, if you're depressed, it's because you live in the past. If you're anxious, you live in the future. And it's like, you get mad and depressed about something that you've no control over, which has already happened. So for me, I'm so competitive that I don't get mad because I'm competitive, because I want to win. And I know when I get mad. So when you have these meltdowns, throw clubs and snap around your friends, like nobody wants to be around you. And nobody wants to be the guy that nobody wants to be around. I spent 35 and a half years doing that. And, and I finally got it together in the last few months is what I tell myself.
The last few months.
Is what I tell myself. That's why I'm on this podcast, because I'm making friends. I'm a friendly guy. So, you know what I mean? My answer to just about everything is Stoicism, to be honest with you. But yeah, they need to sit down with this guy and go, listen, you're getting mad about something that doesn't matter. And two, just go read go to Ryan Holiday's page and start practicing a little Stoicism. And then you're like, yeah, this is silly. Why am I getting mad?
I like what you said too about like, nobody wants to be the guy that nobody wants to be around.
He doesn't want to be that guy.
Do you think they're just not aware that they're being that guy in the moment?
There's a little bit of both. There's definitely to go that far to be the guy that nobody wants to be around. You have to have a little bit of lack of self-awareness, but also definitely he knows like I'm just fucking throwing a fit and everyone's getting quiet after I throw a club. Yeah, I know people are uncomfortable.
Right. I think I think definitely his friends got to sit him down, or one of the friends got to sit him down and be like, dude, what's going on here? Like, come on, we're just a bunch of 40-year-olds having a good time. Like, we got away from the wives. Like, we're on this beautiful golf course.
Or husbands.
Or husbands. But yeah, I agree with you. But I like Ryan Holiday too. I like the Stoicism, and I like what you said about like you can't change the fact that it just went into the lake. But also, it's hard to just calm yourself down in the moment. It's not easy to just be like, when you have that like blood boiling because you just hit a terrible shot. Like, it's not so easy to tell somebody like, hey, just calm down.
Yeah. You're mad. You're mad and throw a fit because you care so much. Caring so much is not the problem. It's like you care so much because you want to play well. Okay, well, if you really are really competitive and want to do well, throwing a fit is just going to make you play worse. So I'm like, no, I want to clean this mess up, damn it. So I'm not going to get mad because I'm so competitive.
Right.
Think about it that way.
Yeah.
Think about it. You're mad because you want to win. Well, if you want to win, damn it, don't get in your own way.
So did we answer this properly, do we think?
Listen, there's nothing that a raging rageaholic who breaks his clubs and goes crazy, there's nothing they listen to more than reason.
No, you take their club and throw it in the water when they're about to throw it, and you go, cut that shit out.
That's a good idea. I like that.
Cut that shit out. You throw it in the water.
I like that. I like everybody in the group just take all of his clubs out of his bag and just fucking throw them in the lake one time.
Yeah, for every club, every time you snap, we're going to throw a club in the water.
Asking for a friend.
So Griff, let's just say I decide in my middle age here that, okay, I want to start playing golf. I want to hang with Matt. I want to hang with our Man of the Year crew. Like, how do I even start? Like, I go to Top Golf and I can't even hit the ball. Like,
I would recommend getting lessons, finding the instructor and getting lessons.
Okay.
That's the first thing, because otherwise you don't know what you're doing. You don't know where to start. You don't even know. You can watch YouTube videos and you can be self-taught if you're just brilliant, but chances are you're not. So, go get lessons. That's the easiest start so that you get comfortable and you're like, okay, I kind of know what I'm doing now. So you can feel confident to go out in there and play and don't feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
I want to know, who do you think is the hottest golf influencer? Paige Spiranac or Grace Charis?
I got to give it up to Grace because both of them very smart businesswomen and really monetized.
Yes, that's what I love about them. Their business sense.
No, I'm not even kidding you. I'm not even kidding you because this sounds ironic, right? This sounds like, they're business people. No, they're like, hey, look, I got huge boobs and I'm going to monetize off these hungry perverts on the internet.
Perverts.
Anyone can just be hot and have big boobs.
We're more into the pole vaulting than golf chicks anyway, just so
So
we're
Grace, I got to give it to Grace because she's smart and open up an OnlyFans and nobody in the golf space is doing that. And she's making a fortune off OnlyFans. And if I could just show a little bag on OnlyFans.
There's definitely
if I could show a little bit of my bag and make $20 a pick.
For red ball hair, there's got to be a
blonde, but oddly,
blonde
I don't know
hair?
why.
Wow,
I don't know why. Weird. It comes out of nowhere. But I honestly, I got to give it to her. She was just like, no, I'm going to lean into it and do OnlyFans for the golfers. Good for her.
Is there an up-and-comer that we should be aware of in the hot golf influencer game?
Are they, because I don't know who these people are they good at golf or no?
Yes.
No,
she's okay, but Paige is really good. I got a question for you guys.
Yeah. All right.
You're the friendship experts. Let's say you have someone that doesn't want to have a lot of friendships. They just want to have quality friendships, right? They're like, I don't care if I have only 2 friends, but those 2 friends are incredible friendships. Now, the downside is you might be lonely more, but those friendships are higher quality versus some people have millions of friends, but not as many high quality and close bonds, but they're not as lonely. Like there's different ways to have friendship. Is one better or worse?
So we talk about this a lot. My first instinct is always to say, there's no right number on friends. I think if 2 works for you, great, but we always do tend to say 2 is sometimes not enough.
Yes.
Right? Because what if one of them moves? Now you have 1 friend. What if the other one dies? Now you have 0 friends.
Yeah.
That can happen in an instant. So,
especially living in LA, friends move all the time. So then you're just by yourself.
Yeah. So
I do think ultimately quality over quantity, having 20 half friends is not as good as having 2 really close ones. Also, who knows more friends? Friends. So if you have 2 really close friends, then you meet their friends and that's a stepping stone. I think I'd rather be, what is it, a mile something than an inch deep?
Yeah. Yeah. No, you'd like to be a mile deep, an inch
mile
deep
long
than a mile long. Yeah. One of those.
Whatever.
Surface level. A friend to all is a friend to none.
Yeah.
I forget who said that, but you've probably heard it. Yeah. I mean, in an ideal world, you're like, I have 5 incredibly quality friendships and then a bunch of more mid-level ones. That's the ideal world. But another kind of part of that is a question to you is, a lot of people are eccentric and unique, especially in this town, and you see it in New York too. And, they just don't quite fit in to society as much. And there's nothing wrong with them. They just don't, they don't fit in. So they're not as normal. So social skills, and it's not because they're necessarily weird, they're just different. And so there's a lot of people like that out there. And that number is growing of those types of people.
One of them's in this room right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I would argue 3 of them are in this room.
I'm talking about myself. So you have a lot of people like that, a growing number of people like that in society and feeling ostracized. And it's like they're feeling this urge to want to adapt to society and feel like I need to be inauthentic to make friends and, play their game where it's like, that's not healthy to be inauthentic. Whereas if they're being themselves, then most of society just won't ever get them. So what do? Do they say, I'm just going to be myself and make fewer friends and be misunderstood, but fewer but good friends? Or do I play the game a little bit and make more friends so I'm less lonely and be a little less authentic? I think this is a real modern challenge. And what does that person do? And I'm sure some of your listeners are hearing this thinking like, yeah, that's me. Like, do I just want to be myself. But if that's me being authentic, people don't get it.
No,
I have a lot of thoughts.
I mean, I think ultimately, like, I think you have to be yourself. We have talked a little bit about the parallels between romantic dating and friend dating, where like, you don't really show your true colors to like the third or fourth date once you're already in there. But like, there's also, you're describing how these people are weird and unique and there's so many of them. Well, if they find each other, then they're golden.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's like there's definitely someone out there that's like, oh my God, you're my people. But like, you may never
there's an
find
anime
them.
porn community. Chris.
Yes.
There's a whole anime porn community.
Dude. I go to conventions. When I became a certified furry, my life changed.
Yeah, I mean, I have an outfit that you wanted it back. I got to dry clean for you.
Yeah, I dress as a bald eagle to meet women.
But seriously, I think what Aaron is saying is right. We all have this desire to be our authentic selves, right? But at the same time, when you're just meeting somebody, it's the same way that you don't even want somebody to be like too open sometimes. This isn't even like a personality, like a hobby or whatever. Sometimes you just don't want to meet somebody at a bar and have them spill their guts out to you, even as a friend, right? So, when you talk about quirks, you can talk about a million different ways you can approach friendship. I do think all of it kind of boils down to a little bit like the dating method of like, you don't need to spill every part of your personality out onto the table right away. And that doesn't make you inauthentic. So I think part of it is your mentality of how you're going into sort of interactions with people. You're assuming that, I have to just tell them that I'm into this thing up front.
Or else I'm being fake.
Right. But the flip side is too, like we now live in a world that is so fragmented in terms of interests and hobbies and with social media and meetups and all these things. You can definitely find your people so much easier than you could have even like 10 years ago.
And I use humor immediately when I meet people, and I'm like, if you don't like my sense of humor, that's fine, but I need to figure out like if we're like we have similar senses of humor early on. But
I also think as you get older, sometimes we talk about meeting your friends where they are. Like, give your friends a little credit that they may still enjoy your company even if they're not into this eccentric thing you're into, or like, I just think sometimes we tend to project that people are going to reject us. And we already kind of pull ourselves out of it. We're like, oh, these people won't like me.
Yeah.
And it's like, give them a chance. Now you're rejecting them for assuming that they're judging you. We have all these preconceived
notions. And then you come
notions.
across as the prick.
Totally. We have all these narratives these stories we tell ourselves. And it's like
limiting beliefs.
And it's like, oh, I'm so quirky. It's like, and also I think, as we get older, we're a little more tolerant and it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, this person's got their things and it's fine.
Yeah.
Meeting a new group of friends is like being a single at a golf course. You be respectful, you feel it out, you listen, you show yourself slowly, but always be yourself.
I love that.
Griff, dude.
Thank you, dude. So fun.
Thank you for being our first ever in-store guest.
In-store? Where this is our store?
That's insane.
In-store, baby. You can buy merch in here.
Yeah, that's insane. That many people turn your podcast on and that you got to me.
Oh, yeah. We see years of projections.
So, country club adjacent.
Yes.
Yeah, where else can we
and then follow me at Griff Pippin. We're on every platform. I'm on every platform, usually making absurd content on my Instagram, doing voiceovers of my swings. And definitely worth watching those videos. But yeah, check us out. And we have a tournament series going on where we go to different tournaments that we put on across the country at these top tracer ranges, and we throw a tournament. And basically we'll have a course and it's a party. And we sell tickets to people just to show up and come hang out and party.
We also just want to say thank you because you came to support us when we shot our Today Show segment at Top Golf and you were giving us tips. I hit the greatest shot of my life, one swing that was on the Today Show because you're incredible.
Our whole Luger's crew was like, wow, Karo can hit a golf ball?
Yeah. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Griff.
That was huge.
Yeah. You look like a stud.
Thank you.
Because you are.
So what did we learn today?
I think we learned that obviously golf is a tremendous way to maintain friendships as a tradition. But for me, I think I kind of learned don't be afraid to go as a single, even if you kind of suck, because just give a little credit to the people who are there, who have been where you're standing. Give them a chance to not judge you.
And for me, who doesn't play golf, like I feel like a good thing to remember is to find your golf. all the things he talked about can be applicable to other sports, other activities. So you just find out what you're passionate about, and then that's a great way to make friends. All right, that's our show. We got no Aronies with Thelonious. We crushed it. Be good to yourself. Be good to your friends.
Love you, buddy.